Hi everyone. Hi. Just gonna check how I can add. Oh, I've got one person joining. Hello. I've got a colleague joining me, so I just need to make sure that all works. Crikey. So much tech to check. Oh no, it's ended. How's that happened? Hello. I think I'm live. Hello. Hi, King's Head. Hi, Shadi. I'm still trying to work out how to get Shenagh on the Instagram. She might need a bit of assistance, but I can always crack on. Thanks for joining, everyone. I think people are joining. I'll just wait a couple of mins. A few people joining up now. I feel like an influencer. It's quite fun. Oh no, it's saying poor connection. Oh cripes. This is not what we need. Not had bad Wi-Fi for the whole of lockdown, so it would be a shame if it happened now, wouldn't it? How's that happening? Maybe it's because it's all happening at once. So sorry to those of you who keep trying to join on Instagram. Apparently my connection's bad, which is not what you want, is it? I'm trying to get Shenagh in. There's equity. Not too sure how you add actually. Just waiting for some more people to join. Hopefully my connection won't go again. That would be ever so sad. So add the second person as a co-host. Maybe this is how you add a person. Oh cripes. Here we go. Got one person watching me on Insta, which is fun. Well, I'm glad you can hear me. That bodes ever so well. Hi to all of you watching on Facebook. Hi to all of you watching on Instagram. I just need to get through to Shenagh. It's not working, I'm afraid. But let me see how I can get on. No, I'm just going to have to wait. I'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes just until we've got a few more people watching. But hello and thank you. So funny this. I love it. Not overly sure where Shenagh is. Just slightly distressing. Let me just go on there. Pop her a message. Oh no, wrong person. Okay, I'm just going to crack on because time is ticking and it's lovely to have a nice chat with those of you who have come. I can see that Shenagh's on the Facebook but not on the Instagram. So Shenagh, if you can hear me, you need to join the Instagram, find the King's Head Theatre, join there live, and then I'll add you as a co-host. But in the meantime, I'll start chatting. I don't want to keep anybody waiting. So hello everybody, I'm Amy. I am a live performance organiser in Equity. I'm sure a lot of you know what Equity is, but just in case you don't, we are your trade union. So obviously the whole point of a trade union is to fight for your rights, is to extend your rights in the workplace, to get you better terms and conditions, better rates of pay. We're there to protect you and represent you. Obviously there are all kinds of trade unions. There are trade unions for teachers, for firefighters, and we are yours. We represent actors, singers, dancers, stage managers, directors, designers, wrestlers, fire breathers, models, burlesque performers, clowns, you name it. If it's in the creative industries, if you're a performer or creative practitioner, the chances are we will represent you in your trade union. So yeah, we're there to look after you basically, and obviously that's never been more important, really. We're a democratic organisation, which sounds like a very dry thing for me to start this spiel off with, but I would say it's probably one of the most important things because it means that we're totally led by you guys, by our members. So it's not a load of people who don't work in the industry who are kind of pushing for change. It's people who live it and experience it every day that drive the work that we do. So we have got all kinds of different committees. We've got the Equity Council, which is the kind of the highest decision-making body in the union. We've got lots of equity committees, so equalities committees and industrial committees that feed into that work. We've got lots of equity networks as well. So there are loads and loads of ways that you can kind of help lead the work that the union does. And it is really important that we're member-led because obviously it means that the work that we do is relevant and it will make a difference to your working lives and it will improve your working lives. So yeah, I mean we turned 90 last year, so we're pretty well established. Oh, I've just realised my blooming Instagram live's gone off again because of poor connection, which is ever so sad. I've never had poor connection in all my days. But let me just see what I can do here. Go back to do a live. Start it again. Checking connection. I'm live again. So yeah, we've been around for about 90 years. You used to have to be a member of Equity in order to work in the industry at all, and that all changed many, many moons ago. So it's now a choice, but I actually think that that's really important that people make that choice to join us because we've got almost 50,000 members now, which is amazing. So we're more, we're stronger now than we've ever been, and we're getting disproportionately stronger year on year as well, which is really, really important. And yeah, I think we are only as strong as our members, basically. So, we need that 50,000 strong membership backing us because when we're fighting for you and we're trying to kind of get you pay and save your jobs, we need that strength behind us. So it is really, really important that people join us and are a part of that collective strength. There are three main areas that I would say I'm just going to briefly cover this morning. Hopefully there'll be some questions. The first is the kind of the core reason why we exist, and that is all to do with our collective agreements. So we negotiate your terms and conditions, and that's really important. So I'm sure you've all heard of something called the equity minimum or equity agreements, the fringe agreement, which the King's Head Theatre is on. We'll negotiate those terms collectively on your behalf. Then the second thing is that you also get loads of kind of individual services for your membership as well. So you as an individual get things like insurance, you will get legal representation, you get the pension scheme, which is obviously the sexiest thing we do. All kinds of things that you as an individual get for your membership. And then as well as that, we're a campaigning organisation as well. So we run all kinds of campaigns on issues that affect you guys, basically. Obviously, now more than ever, we're fighting for you and fighting for the whole theatre and recorded media industry, the whole entertainment industry. But more broadly, we fight against low and no pay, we fight against bullying and harassment, things like Brexit was something that we were constantly lobbying on your behalf. So we're basically fighting for things on your behalf with that, almost 50,000 strong membership behind us. So that's really, really important. Hello to those of you who are joining on Instagram. I really hope my connection doesn't fail again. But I think this is being recorded, so worst case, you can always watch back. So yeah, for those of you that are joining, I'm Amy Dawson. I'm a live performance organizer in equity. So yeah, as I said, the real reason we exist is that we negotiate your terms and conditions. So we have these things called equity agreements, and they're across the whole of the industry. We have them in live performance, we have West End agreements, we've got commercial theatre agreements, subsidised theatre agreements, fringe theatre agreement, which is a very important one that will you guys at the King's Head will know about. In recorded media, we have a BBC agreement, we've got an ITV agreement, we've recently negotiated the world's first Netflix agreement, which is really exciting. And in those agreements covers everything from number of performances, breaks, holiday pay, dispute procedures, health and safety procedures, royalties, touring dates. Everything we could negotiate for you in a job are negotiated in those agreements. And this is where it's so important that we have as many members as possible, because the more members we have, the greater those terms and conditions look. So, if every single performer and creative practitioner was a member of equity, then those terms and conditions would be absolute perfection, and you'd all be living the dream, and we could all kind of pack up and go home. The fact is, it is always a struggle. We're never happy with the outcome of those agreements. If we were, we wouldn't need to exist anymore. Employers very rarely come to us with a pot of money and say, we'd like to spend this on your members. So it is always a bit of a struggle. But, again, with that strength behind us of almost 50,000 members, don't know if I mentioned that, we are able to get you the best terms and conditions we possibly can in that specific time. So we, obviously during COVID, we've been kind of renegotiating agreements and kind of temporary variation agreements, but more broadly, last year we renegotiated 3 of our main theatre agreements, and we were able to get some quite big improvements in a lot of the softer terms and conditions, so things to do with flexible working. Our code of conduct for auditions was embedded in our 3 main theatre agreements, which was really exciting because it means that actually you're being treated with the dignity and respect that you deserve at the very beginning of that recruitment process, rather than once you've kind of signed a contract. So yeah, there are loads and loads of so I'm just seeing what Shenagh's saying, because I don't think she's been able to join me on Insta, which is very sad. But she could always contribute on the discussion there, perhaps. Or Shenagh, if you wanted to ring me, you could always speak through the speaker there. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just speaking to you just in case you're still there. So yeah, as I said, we've got these agreements for all across the industry. You will also work on non-equity contracts. They're everywhere. And one thing I would really wanted to get across today is that please do share those with us. I think a lot of people think that we will only help you with equity contracts. That couldn't be further from the truth. The chance is you probably need our help more when you're working on non-equity contracts than when you're working on equity contracts. So, if in doubt, send those contracts over to us. We're very, very happy to have a look at them, give you advice, give you support. I mean, advice and support is one of the biggest things that we do. So always send them over to us, because it's really, really important that you understand the terms that you're working on. And sometimes people will say, oh, well, isn't it our agent's job to do that? And I would say no. To an extent, yeah. I mean, hopefully you've all got amazing agents who really kind of scrutinise every single word of your contract, and they're experts in employment law and contract law. But to be honest, we are the only organisation really that is an expert in contract law and employment law, and we have absolutely no conflict of interest, and we're really keen and happy to look at these contracts and agreements that you enter into. And also there'll be times when you're not even issued a contract at all, and in that instance we'd really, really recommend you always have something in writing, and again, we can help you do that. So it's a common misconception that only your employer can issue you a contract. You can actually issue your own. So do get in touch with us. It's so important that you have something in writing, because it means that you're much more protected if and when things fall through, and we can do a lot more for you. I'm conscious of time, so I need to kind of whittle through, because I've got so much I want to cover, and I know Shenagh's still trying to join us, bless her. I'm so sorry, Shenagh. Technology. But yeah, so our collective agreements is the real reason why you're meant to be a part of Equity, really. You don't have to be a member of Equity to work on these agreements, but as you can imagine, we strongly encourage it. In some of the industries, we're hugely densely populated in our membership. So, for example, in the West End at the moment, we're on 85% membership, which is amazing. And similarly, in the National Theatre, we're higher than that. And it means that those terms and conditions are, really, really strong and really solid, because 95% of people are supporting their union. But those 15 or 5% of people are kind of getting the benefits of the better terms and conditions, but without actually, putting that support in and giving us that collective strength. So it is really important to be part of that strength. So yeah, that's in a nutshell the kind of the real kind of the nitty gritty about what we're all about. But as I said, you also get loads of individual benefits for your membership. So as an Equity member, you get £10 million public liability insurance cover. So that basically covers you for if you injure or damage a person or a space while you're working. It means that you won't get sued by your employer. It's insurance that a lot of the time you have to have. So your employer will say, please can I see your PLI certificate? And when you're a member of Equity, you can just log into the members area of the website, and there it is for you to kind of download. And again, because of that collective strength, that's why the public liability insurance can be part of your union membership. And often getting PLI elsewhere is more expensive than your union membership, and actually with us you get all kinds of support on top of that. As I said, we've got a pension scheme, which is really important. It's much better than the auto-enrolled pension schemes that you'll all automatically be enrolled onto, so you can ask us a bit more about that at some point. We have legal representation for our members, so we will represent you legally in employment tribunals, in contract enforcement. We will represent you if you just need some legal advice or support. It's a huge part of what we do. So just a couple of examples of how that's come into play. I'll give you one main example is we had a member of ours. She was a stage manager, and she was working at the Soho Theatre, and she was climbing up a flight of stairs. She was quite new to the space, walked through. Oh, Sheenagh's joined! Yay! Get her to. How do I get her to co-host with me? Add. I've got a friend. Oh no, she's declined. Outrageous. Go live with Equity. Is she coming? Just waiting. God, this multitasking. I've been trying to read all the comments and sort things out as I've... There you are, Shenagh!
Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. I have me and technology is not a good thing.
We all have the same problems, don't you? I mean, my Wi-Fi apparently has chosen today to be a bit of a pest, so please do not worry.
Okay. So I had to get my 23-year-old son to come and help me out.
Oh, what a gem! What a gem! Oh, well, you're here now. Welcome, everyone. This is Shenagh. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Shenagh.
Yes, hello everybody. As I say, huge apologies. My name is Shenagh Govan. I'm an actor, and I'm also chair of North and East London General Branch. And we were lucky enough at our last branch meeting, which was a couple of weeks ago, where we had producer Michelle Barnett from King's Head as our guest speaker, updating us on all that's happening at the King's Head and how we as a union can support Michelle, and because King's Head is one of our theatres on our patch, so that was great. And on the back of that, the theatre invited us to come and join you today, and Amy and I, rather Amy, has been joining you with everything, and I'm just now at last joined.
Yay! No, it's lovely to have you here,
pressing buttons here, there and everywhere.
Oh, bless you. I mean, I've never done one of these before, so it's quite a what is it? I don't know. Learning curve. But just to finish, I mean, I need to whittle through really, because I'm conscious that we've only got 10 minutes, and Shenagh, I want you to be able to kind of have your say. But basically, there are loads and loads of kind of individual services that you get for your membership as well. You know, there's free training, there's the legal representation. Oh yeah, I was kind of midway through telling that story. I'll just quickly wrap that up. Basically, one of our stage managers, she was new to working in the Soho Theatre. She climbed a flight of stairs, walked through an unlocked, unmarked door, expecting to find a floor on the other side, and there wasn't. It was a Juliet balcony, and so she shattered her spine and is now paralysed from the waist down for the rest of her life. And so we took them to court, of course. We got her £3.7 million in compensation. We got her relocated back to Australia, which is where she was from, and we got her set up in a whole new career. And actually, none of those things are remarkable, because all of those were her legal entitlement because of the awful, awful thing that happened to her. And actually, she could have gone to a high street solicitor, really, and achieved those things. But what is remarkable is none of that money, you know, no win, no fee, really means big win, big fee in the world of kind of solicitors and lawyers. None of that £3.7 million went into anybody else's pocket. And that is because of you guys, because of the members who are paying your tenner a month or whatever it is you pay into this big communal pot. That means if anything ever happens to you, that's why you can access that amazing level of support and advice and legal representation. But also, if anything happens to your friend who's a member or your colleague who's a member, that's why they can access it. And I think, especially now, more than ever before, you know, that's why it's so important to be a part of the union. And sometimes we'll have people say, well, I've been a member for 30 years and I've never used you. And we'd say, well, actually, that's quite a good thing. Because, you know, we don't want you to be injured or bullied or harassed or made redundant. You know, we don't want you to need our services. Although, actually, if you've worked on an equity agreement, you have used us. But, you know, what you're doing is you're paying into this big communal pot. And I think that's such an important thing. And so just the final thing I want to say is that, you know, a lot of people, I think, hold back from talking to us about problems and issues because they think as soon as they've picked up the phone to us, we're going to go stomping in and say, this person came to us and said, you're not giving them lunch breaks or you're not paying them on time. That's not how we operate at all. You know, a lot of the time, members will ring us up, get something off their chest, but say, I don't want you to do anything about it. And that's absolutely fine. We let you lead how you want that to go. So it might be that we just give you a bit of advice and support and it's, you know, finished there. You might want us to take your employer to court, and if you've got a case, we will. You might want us to just give you, you know, set up a meeting, make a phone call, or just equip you with the tools to have those conversations in more of a kind of non-confrontational, low-key way. So there are loads and loads of ways we can help you. I can guarantee it won't be the weirdest thing we've been rung up about that week. So please do, you know, get in touch with us, make the most of us, because we are here to advise and support you. So Shenagh, please do fill everyone in on what we've been up to post-COVID.
Yeah, so I was going to say, because of being so late, I wasn't quite certain what of all of that that you have sort of covered. So I'm now going to get my notes very quickly, and I wanted to also give a little sort of insight on what it is. And in fact, actually, I'm going to follow on what you were just saying about people being fearful of getting in touch and thinking, oh, if only when we're in trouble. I guess that's what the branches are about. We're a member-led union, and we have, we're talking from London, so we've got 5 branches in London, 4 general branches and 1 variety branch, and then there are 35, I've added up just now, there are 35 branches nationwide, which is where members can, if you like, in the first instance, go to meet and chat with their peers about things that they are discovering is happening in their working environment or other stuff as well to do with their working life, share with their peers and ask for advice, and then those then can take it further. So it's a bit of if you like, it's a safe place rather than going, oh gosh, bringing the union in. But the union is there to support us, and we are the union. It can be sometimes a bit frustrating when members are saying, oh well, equity should be doing something, and we go, well, we are equity. So what can we do about it? Well, we need to let head office and our staff members know things that we are dealing with and what we can do about it. And we as members can bring to branch meetings ideas that we want to be created into. There's a sort of a process which is called creating a motion, but have thoughts that have happened to us where we want something changed, is then put into a motion. The branch then takes that through the process to head office and to council. It is then voted on, and then it becomes policy. So it is a way of us as just ordinary working actors and stage managers and dancers or whatever to go, hold on a minute, we want this to change.
Yeah. And it's a really easy way, you know, you don't have to be elected. You can just rock up to your local branch, and obviously a lot of them are meeting online now, so it's even easier. You can just sit and listen if you want, or, you know, if you've got a burning desire for something to change within the industry, that's exactly where you should go. And yeah, I mean, the manifesto for casting came from one of our branches, and that's now kind of become our code of conduct for auditions, which is embedded in all the 3 main agreements in theatre. So that's just one example of how, you know, real change comes from the branches, and it's really exciting. They're exciting places to be, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it's a great place to network. It's a great place because it's an isolating work. I mean, especially now we're all doing things online, and yes, our branch meetings are happening online, which is great. And I found it very interesting that, in fact, we've probably had more, because of that accessibility of being remote. There have been more people joining, which is just great. So it's a great way of connecting and feeling not so isolated, not only now, but also in the industry anyway, and actually, you know, just sort of your peers.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something we'll hopefully be able to kind of think about keeping as the world maybe goes back to how it was before. Yeah. I mean, just making ourselves as accessible as possible. You know, of course, nothing replaces like a real life interaction, but just being able to join from your living room or your bed, I think, is a really, you know, good thing, and something we should think about maybe keeping in the future.
Yeah, I think definitely going forward, as you say, when we are back in, we hold our meetings at the Park Theatre, so another one of our theatres that supporting completely. That we need to have a mix of it both, actually, live and remote, because for sure it has sort of opened up more people that haven't been involved beforehand, or saying, "Oh no, I quite like that." So yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you want to talk, Shenagh, a little bit about, you know, what Equity's been up to since the industry kind of shut down, or do you want me to give a bit of...
Yeah, I don't know what you've covered off.
I've only really given some just general Equity spiel. Half an hour goes ever so quick, doesn't it? Especially when you're trying to kind of multitask and
yeah,
you know.
No, bless you, yes.
But, I mean...
I'm assuming that... you're possibly, anyway, that you've been talking about the fact that Equity was very instrumental in securing the self-employed income scheme for the self-employed, and the fact that we're, you know, keenly aware. I mean, I was very lucky. I was eligible for it, so I count my blessings every day that I was eligible for it. But we're very aware that there are gaps in that scheme that members have fallen through and continuing to fall through. And Equity is very lobbying to close all that. And I think I heard you saying about, obviously, we've got very many sort of financial support offers that we can get in touch with, and also emotional support with our 24-hour mental health line and Hearts and Minds and everything.
Absolutely. Just quickly, our tax and welfare support department have been absolutely incredible throughout all this, but do make the most of them. If you need to get in touch, if you are someone who falls through the gaps, or you're not sure exactly what you're eligible for, or you're being kind of told, no, you're not eligible for this, email them on helpline@equity.org.uk, because they are incredibly helpful. They've also created a whole kind of guide of financial support and how you can access different types of financial support, so have a look at that on our website as well.
Everything's on the website as well. I mean, there's the whole, in fact, some of the information that I'm giving you now is all accessible on coronavirus support, and then, you know, there's different sort of link on down. You probably said that, you know, right at the very beginning, Equity negotiated very good deals for members who were in work at the start of crisis, and when productions were then closed, so that while in rehearsal, we're in production, so that straight away, I mean, the staff, I can't praise enough the staff of how hard working everybody was right the very beginning. Yeah. They've now agreed another sort of with UK Theatre have agreed an agreement going forward to sort of temporarily revise the terms on which artists are contracted if and when we get back to sort of real life productions, and that is. That'll be used, so that's sort of in agreement now. It'll be used until a vaccine or a more permanent solution is put in place. And also, you know, it's covering both things. It's not us and them. It's because what Equity and producers want is to create live theatre again, and it's how we can do this together. Absolutely. And make it open safely for everybody, for producers, artists, and theatre audiences, because we're all those things. You know, we're a theatre audience, and we're, you know, artists on stage. They've created great contracts to do with for TV and film. BEX, which is the British Equity Distribution Service, is any money that has been due to us from live streaming and everything. That's all coming out.
That's been a huge impact from it. I think yesterday we sent out £1.7 million to our members from things like cast albums, things that are repeated on BBC iPlayer, films that were on our agreements that are repeated around the world. So, I mean, more than ever, that income stream is hugely beneficial to our members. So, yeah, our distributions team are working their socks off to get, as much money in your pockets as possible. Shenagh, I don't know if we could... Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, those can be tiny, tiny little things from telly you might have done ages ago, and you might get, only myself this week, I had a little cheque come through for £26, and you think, really? But then they all add up.
It's a Deliveroo, Shenagh, it's a Deliveroo.
Exactly.
But they can also be quite big amounts. I mean, someone once told me that he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, but the bit he was in was actually cut, but he was still owed enough in royalties to pay off his master's degree. And that's because of what was written in the contract. So, it can be small amounts, but it really varies. And I know that, we're fighting ever so hard to get as much money through our royalties as possible. I wanted to quickly talk about our work in terms of the lobbying we're doing, just to and I'm sure you were probably going to say something about this, Shenagh. But since the government obviously announced this £1.5 billion kind of injection into the industry, which of course, is very much welcomed, no one can deny that, it's hugely welcomed. We have to be very wary of the fact that it's also covering kind of museums and galleries, it's covering a lot, and we're very conscious of the fact that, it might be that it's protecting the buildings and saving the buildings and that kind of infrastructure, but is that money going to go into the pockets of the workers, of you guys, the people who have fallen through the gaps and haven't been eligible for the self-employed scheme or furlough scheme? We need to be getting money into your pockets, and so we're fighting incredibly hard to play a part in where that money's going to go. And I think we're all getting a little bit frustrated with the waiting to hear from Oliver Dowden and Rishi Sunak about where that money is going to go, what that means, because they brought out this beautiful big figure and then it's been total silence ever since. But something, if you guys, any of you watching, want to play a part in that lobbying work, you can write to your MP. Again, on our website, there's loads of ways that you can kind of play a part. But what we're really pushing is that there are 4 pillars. I'll be getting that in there, Shenagh. We think, basically, in order for the industry to kind of be saved effectively, there are 4 pillars that we think the government need to address and that need to be addressed. The first is workforce protection. So that's about you guys getting money in your pockets to be able to kind of live and function and survive. The second is a safe opening. So, again, we're on the government's they're starting to now say that from the 1st of August, indoor theatre can be open, but, unless that's going to be able to be done safely, we're very wary of that. So we're creating a lot of health and safety guidelines for you all, which again, you can find on the website. But it's very important that the government do that as well. The third is protecting infrastructure. So this is where we kind of suspect that 1.5 billion is going to be is supporting that pillar. But then the fourth is equality as well, because actually if any of our members are left behind, and of course there are many of our members that are disproportionately affected by this disease, then what are we all working for at all? So actually it's all well and good that protecting infrastructure pillar being held up, but if the other 3 aren't held up at all, in our opinion, the industry is still going to collapse. And so all of those 4 pillars need to be addressed, and you can read more about our 4 pillars on the website. And if you want to be pushing that to your MP or anything like that, then please do, because it takes all of us, and our voices are incredibly loud to kind of really make a difference and to get our voices heard, within the government and within Parliament. I don't know if you wanted to add anything on that, Shenagh.
No, I was just going to say I was going to say about the 4 pillars exactly that, and and say that we could get more information around it to whoever's watching at the minute. But you've actually summarised it all superbly. No surprise there. Yeah, I was just thinking I was thinking as well as lobbying, that's again what branches do, just thinking about what we do as a branch and nationally, is as well as lobbying government and actually making our voices really, really heard. It's also lobbying for local things and local authorities where constantly there have been any kind of things over the years where we need to make affect change, all our voices together, stronger together, can make a difference. And it's good to know that we can make a difference.
Absolutely. We really can. I think, we've seen that with some of the, the theatre tax relief that was announced, that came from our lobbying work. And so, we are making a difference, but it's a blooming difficult time. And so it needs all of us really to stand up and do our bit. Something I'm conscious that we're a little bit over time, but I think we're allowed a smidge longer just because of our slight tech issues at the beginning. But if you are interested in anything we've been saying today, we, throughout the whole of lockdown, our equalities committees have been running a series of events called Equity Zooms In. And again, if you just Google Equity Zooms In, you'll be able to find all of our past events, so you can listen back. We've had very recently one on health and safety, which is one particular one I think might be of use to you guys, because they're an hour long, they're on Zoom, but we share the audio recording afterwards. And the health and safety one is particularly useful now because, of course, we're all having to think about risk assessments and returning to work safely and all that kind of thing. But we've had sessions on agents. We've had sessions, I can't remember, Shenagh, you probably remember more than me.
No, I was just thinking, there's been so many with Women's Committee, agents, health and safety, policy lobbying,
financial support. We've done a few sessions on that.
Variety, LGBT, you name it.
Yeah.
I think
we've done one specifically for students and for young members, and there are, I think we've done 33 now, different events. And so if you want to listen back to any of those, please do, because there's some really useful information, and it's just another way of finding out a little bit more about what we've been up to, because we can only fit so much in to this time. Oh, we got a love heart.
It's a great way of engaging with members, and it's a great way of people, as I said earlier, feeling connected and feeling not on our own in this scary time, because it is scary and we're all doing our best, and we're all but it's another good way of going, right, okay, what's happening.
It's an unbelievably scary time, and I think this industry can be quite isolating at the best of times, let alone when we're in a global pandemic and the whole industry's shut down, and I think it is more important than ever before to be a part of your union and be a part of that collective strength, not only because we're fighting for you massively, but just because it gives you that extra bit of support and belonging and community. And Shenagh's very perfectly demonstrated how the branches are just one example of being part of that community, and being able to chat to like-minded people about issues and problems. But there are loads of ways of being involved. We've got a load of equity networks as well, so we have, and they kind of cover different areas of the industry. So we've got a puppeteers network, comedians network. We're in the process now of setting up a non-UK born artists network. So again, if there are specific areas that you think, actually I feel a bit underrepresented, I want to do a bit more work on this, please do join those networks. And again, they're just a good way of chatting to people and also instrumenting real change, which is what we're all about. Are there any final things you wanted to say, Shenagh?
I don't think so. I think the only other thing that I was just going to say, if because we're talking to London, well, we're not. I mean, we're transmitting to all round. Is that whether we can? I was just saying about the connecting with the London branches, which is via Twitter. And I was going to, when I could find the list. Oh, because I've lost that. Guarantee it. Yes. So apologies, everybody. I don't seem to have the list. That, you have things already, and then you can't find anything.
I know. It's a wild week, this one. But are you trying to find your Twitter handles?
Yeah, so I was just trying to find all the London. Oh, well, maybe I have it here actually. I wonder if I've got this here. No, this is just the email addresses. I was just trying to find the London branches Twitter handles, but I think they're sadly in the other room.
Well, you can pop me an email if anybody has any other questions or wants to find out how to join any of the London branches Twitters. Pop me an email on dawson@equity.org.uk. Please do email me, because we're here to help you, and I think, as I said earlier, just to repeat, no problem is too small. We are really here to help you and represent you and support you now more than ever. So please do pick up the phone or send us an email, because we are stronger together, and we are growing, which is amazing, because it means that in turn you guys will finally start to be hopefully treated with the dignity and respect that you deserve, both throughout this but also beyond this, really. I think that's all I wanted to say. Do you have any final? Any final?
What more is there to say? On
No.
that? No. Just apologies again for arriving so late.
No, well, it was fashionably late, darling. We love it. Yeah, it's been really, really wonderful. Thank you so much to those of you who've joined. And as I said, pop me an email if you want on adawson@equity.org.uk. Very, very happy to help with any questions or concerns or worries that you've got. We are here to help you. We are your union and your family. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you again soon. Cool. I have to work out how to end this now. Thanks, everyone. Right, end it on thingy. There we go. Bye, Shenagh. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye all.
Bye.
Take care. Stay safe.